Well, let's see. I had to come up with some quick questions here since I was doing the twofer, and now I've just got you alone. So
So exciting. We can just have a conversation.
just have a conversation. And first of all, this season has like so much conflict set up. It was really well done how you come in with people kind of all scattered all over the place. We've got Kate's baby and
Yeah.
Percy caring for it. We've got another two Harrys and poor original Harry never knew what hit him. We've
Yeah.
um the Mantid. I mean, there's just so much going on. How do you view this story, like the storyline this season and the direction that it's heading?
There's a lot going on. We try to keep a lot going on because viewers get bored quickly these days. So we never want to tread water. We never want to take our time. We want there to be a lot going on at all times to keep people invested. And there is, like you said, a lot going on this season. We look at each of the characters as their own stories, so we try to keep those stories driving forward. Everyone has their own wants and needs, and everyone is a little bit broken in their own way and looking for a way to become a better human. So there's a ton of stuff going on this season, but I couldn't be more proud of the stuff we pulled off this season, just in a production way, um, but also just in the storytelling. And I think the actors were absolutely unbelievable this season, and they're great every season. But I think everyone stepped it up this season. And I think in the writing and the storytelling, I think it really pays off. Like we drive through the season, tell a lot of stories, wrap up a lot of things, reveal a lot of things, end in an incredible place. Like it's I think it's one of our best seasons for sure.
You know, one of my favorite parts of every episode is whenever Harry kind of sums up the human condition
Yeah.
based upon whatever he's just gone through. And it amazes me how I can be laughing one second and like almost crying the next because
Yeah.
these thoughts are so profound.
Yeah.
Do you come up with those ideas before writing the episode, or is it after the fact? I mean, do you just blend them in because it's so seamless?
It's a it's a great question. I mean, each episode has some sort of theme going on, whether it's loneliness or connection or love or, so we know going into the writing, the story breaking and the writing of the episode, what that is going to be thematically. We typically figure out what goes on, generally speaking, in the episode for all the characters. And then a theme usually starts to emerge. Similar things happening with the characters. A couple different characters are feeling loss. And so maybe that's an episode about loss. And so you look at some of the other story drives from the other characters, and is there a way to sort of, add a sense of that to their story as well? So it all sort of feels of a similar piece, and it's not always exact, but you get a sense of theme in that, and within that, then we go through as a group in the writers' room about what these voiceover moments are, and usually there are sort of in the beginning we try to have a little bit from Harry talking about life in some way that sort of hits on theme a little bit. And we try to hit it a couple times, maybe in the middle of the episode, and then add a little bit at the end. Maybe he's learned something, and if we can. So that all comes out in the early writing process. And then when we write the scripts, it is in the script, and then, I can tweak that, I can rewrite it, I can tweak it up until, the final mix. We can change, the some of the voiceover stuff. So it goes through a lot of iterations, but yeah, it's a lot of work. Uh, it's a it's a lot of work to be profound, um, not boring, and not standing on a soapbox, because that can happen too. And there are times that we've missed the mark, and there are times I've missed the mark, and times that I think I've gotten it right. So that's the goal, though. I mean, the goal is to get people thinking about being human and trying to think of their own lives and wonder if maybe they can do things better and be a better human. And hopefully people come away from the show thinking about that and attaching it to their own life and maybe can live a better one.
I can't think of a better way to incorporate aliens into a story than to use it
Sure.
in that way. I mean, it's just incredible.
It works well. And the great thing about the alien and Harry's alien journey is it's so relatable. Like he's an alien, but he also could just be a guy who arrives in Boston off the bus from Missouri. who is now in a new town and just doesn't fit in and doesn't know why, but wants to make friends and feels lonely and misses his family, misses his home, but has to be there and learns how to connect with these new people. It's so relatable because it's all of us. He's an alien, but it's a great way of looking at the world through the eyes of an alien, which is similar to the eyes of a child, someone who doesn't know anything and is learning for the first time. Because I think as humans, as all of us, and as all the other characters, the Ostas, the Darcys, Ben, Kate, Mike, Liv, Max, and Sahar, like I think they all have eyes of a child. They all are learning what it's like to be human every single episode, and they've been around for decades, but it's a journey that never really stops. We learn as long as you're open about looking at yourself and wondering if you can live a better life, you will always learn more and more about humanity every day.
You're right. And the other characters, you say they all look at it through the eyes of a child. In every like all these different situations, we all are aliens.
Yeah,
Every new situation you are completely unmoored. So
that's
it
a good thing.
it all really works out so well in this show.
Yeah, you go to a new job,
Hmm.
you're an alien. You go into a new coffee house you haven't been into, you're an alien. Like you're entering a new world every time you step out of the house in a way. Um, and it's just being open. It's being open to your choices and the results of your choices, how your choices affect other people, and finding a way to step out of the house and try to affect other people's lives in a positive way.
And I know that, especially given this cast, you do some ad-libbing, or you don't, but the actors do some ad-libbing and change things up. Have they ever like said something during those particular scenes that you thought, "Oh my gosh, why didn't we think of that?"
Yeah, often. Yeah, it's a great part of it. It's great fun. It's a great part of the show. We have them do it as scripted, and then when there's time, which is we always make time for it, they can do a pass or they can try their own stuff on certain lines. And we use as much of it as we can because it feels off the cuff. It feels real. Um, it doesn't feel as written sometimes. It feels more natural. And a lot of that is performance because I think when an actor is oftentimes when an actor is coming up with something off the cuff, it's going to feel a little more natural than if they're performing even in a good way, a line that's written. So yeah, I mean, obviously most of it is written, but there are moments, and oftentimes you can tell what they are, and oftentimes at the end of the scene, it's the actors playing with each other, and it's a lot of fun to do. And a lot of times they'll come up with stuff that I say, Why didn't I come up with that?" Or Alan will do stuff. Alan will come up with something, and I will say, "I could never have come up with that." Which is such a gift to have these talented artists as actors on the show and being able to add every bit of their talents to everything we do.
And speaking of the whole cast, there are very few shows in history that have a an ensemble that is this robust, where every
Yeah.
single actor can deliver a line that can just bring out an entire range of emotions.
Yeah.
You have just an like barrels full of film on the floor somewhere. I would imagine that you have just an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's especially tough because we do have to hit a certain time on the in the episodes. We've got to get down to a specific time so they have time to do commercials and everything. We don't have the luxury of being able to be whatever the show wants to be. No, we got to get to a certain time, which to be honest is helpful for something that's comedic, that it's everything has to be sharp. It forces you to drop stuff that doesn't work quite as well. But it's tough. I mean, we lose stuff. I mean, I've had to cut anything from a few minutes out of the show to there's an episode this year we had to cut 15 minutes out of it, which is incredibly difficult. The first thing that goes is story that you don't need. Sometimes we overwrite the scripts because you don't really know how it's going to play, and maybe you need to write this whole stuff to make the audience understand what's going on. But then oftentimes you shoot it, and with the actors' performances, you realize like, oh, we don't need to say as much as we're saying. You pull that stuff out, and you pull out. There's always comedy that doesn't work as well. You pull that stuff out, and then the last thing I want to lose is comedy that works well. And I've been lucky to not have to lose a lot of that. I can save that and save the great performances. So yeah, it's there's a lot of great stuff that ends up on the floor.
Well, someday maybe we'll see it.
Someday.
Bloopers, that kind of stuff.
That's
Thanks
exactly.
so much for your time today, Chris.
All right. Thanks, Carissa.
Bye-bye.
Bye.